Novak Djokovic outright 2.35. I put it to you that if Djokovic is on song, he wins.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Novak Djokovic is the best player in the world still. He is the world number one. He's won 2 out of the 4 Grand Slam tournaments this year and obviously had to retire injured at the US Open. That shoulder seemed to be fine. He was playing as good as he's ever been in Tokyo, taking home that title in some style. And now Rafael Nadal is missing, yet still Djokovic's odds are actually longer than they usually are at these events. He's usually around evens or slightly above evens. And now with Rafael Nadal, who is the firm second favorite behind Djokovic, missing, this is fantastic value for him. He's been drawn into the upper half of the draw, obviously, with the big seeds being Gael Monfils, who lost to Hubert Hurkacz, Stefanos Tsitsipas, John Isner, and Daniil Medvedev, among others. But if Djokovic is on form, he's the best player in the world, and he actually, unlike many other players, loves to play in Asia. He performs really well here. He's the record holder with 4 titles to his name at this very event, and he won it last year. And he looks fit and firing, so there's no backing against Djokovic when he is.
James, another one we're going to go on to. Roberto, Bautista, Agut, each way at 34. Give us a little bit about Bautista.
Yeah, so Bautista, there's slight fitness concerns given that he retired last week with, I think, a stomach injury. But the thing is, when he's playing well, Bautista is one of the most consistent performers on tour. He makes most of his strides in the lower tier events, so sort of 500 to 250s, but Shanghai happens to be an event where he's played very, very well in the past. And my feeling from watching him is that basically he gets that extra bit of pace out of his shots on these courts. He likes the low bounce. He's a very flat hitter. Most of his game is based on movement and consistency. So in quick conditions, they really, really help because you basically are able to absorb a lot more pace and get more out of your counterpunching than you would usually. So yeah, he's gone very well here in the past. He's beat Djokovic here in the past, in fact. And he's easily in the weakest quarter of the tournament. And the key thing here for me is that he's in the same quarter as Thiem. And I think opposing Thiem is a very, very obvious thing to do in general on hard courts, but especially given that he's just won in Beijing, very different conditions. I would very much expect Bautista to sort of be able to take time away from him in these conditions. And yeah, so I think to me, he was the most obvious play from a sort of context perspective, the big issue being his fitness. But I think if he is fit, then he's very likely to come through that quarter.
Okay, Snize. Matteo Berrettini, we've had him a few times this year, each way at 51. I mean, I think that price may have gone.
Yeah, that may have gone. It was actually even higher at start of the week. You follow me on Twitter at Snize Marshall, so I tipped this at 67. I think it was Saturday.
I didn't get that memo.
But still a nice price available at him right now. Currently, I snagged this 51 earlier today. So if we're looking at the draw here, as I broke down earlier, Djokovic is the clear favorite. You don't really want to pick anyone else in his half because that'd be pretty almost suicidal. It's very tough seeing him losing unless he's injured. But in the bottom half, we have a lot of value to be found. As James mentioned, we have a big seed, Dominic Thiem, who just won a title in Beijing, and Berrettini has been drawn in that quarter. And he looked pretty good. One could say he destroyed Jan-Lennard Struff 6-2, 6-1 in his first round. Has a very big hitting game, obviously made it all the way to the semifinals of the US Open this year. And he's proven himself very dangerous in fast conditions. Won the title in, I believe it was Stuttgart. He didn't even drop a set. I think he wasn't even broken. All straight set victories. So obviously enjoys his conditions, and his big hitting game should suit him well here. So he's one of my selections to try to get a big priced finalist.
So you can still get him at 51 with Betfair and Unibet. So I would definitely jump on that.
Okay. There's a name that we got involved with over the last couple of weeks. Nikoloz Basilashvili, each way at 101. Is he in the bottom half as well, James?
Yeah, so he is. So again, this is an interesting point about odds. He's actually 40-1 with most bookies, 50-1 with some, but then you can get 80-1 with SpreadX. So that's a nice standout price that's worth taking. So Basil is the kind of player who there's a lot of reasons to think he's a good player to bet on outright. So the first thing is he's a streaky player. He'll often play well and then continue to play well, or play badly and continue to play badly. So if you catch him, with a nice price early on in the tournament, he'll probably do you well in the later rounds. His game is shot making based, so he hits the ball very, very sort of powerfully, but also he just likes to hit winners a lot. He likes to find the corners, find the lines, and these conditions are pretty fast. They should help him with that. He's gone well here before. He's looked pretty good so far this week, and he's been excellent to bet on generally. He's already won Hamburg this year, where we actually tipped him to win that again with the same logic. He won Beijing last year, where he beat Del Potro, and the kind of quality of the field in that event wasn't that far off this event, even though it was a lower tier event. So yeah, he's got all the weapons to go deep, and again, he's in that weaker bottom quarter. So I think if he is able to play his best tennis, he will certainly take advantage if Berrettini and Bautista don't.
Snize, I look at Andrey Rublev, and you've got him each way at 81. That seems awfully high.
Yeah, it was even higher earlier, actually. But again, this has just been the plan with, obviously, Djokovic being the huge favorite in the top half. We're really just trying to get a big priced finalist, and I think there are definitely opportunities for us to get that. Obviously, Roger Federer is the big second favorite in the bottom half. He is, though, pretty old right now. He's 38. He's slowing down. He has been proven to be vulnerable at this tournament before, being knocked out at earlier stages. We've seen a couple of upsets come his way in this tournament. He lost, I think Coric was a finalist in this tournament, and also Bautista Agut, a big prize finalist in this tournament. And so Rublev, he's a big hitting Russian. He's been in great form as of late. Really flourished into the talent that we knew he could be, but he's been beset a bit by injuries after his breakthrough a few years ago. He actually beat Federer a few weeks back in Cincinnati, and he's looked very strong. These fast conditions really suit his big hitting game. He loves dictating play, getting his huge forehand into play. Went well at the US Open, and he's been drawn in the bottom quarter. Alexander Zverev is the big seed there apart from Federer. And Zverev, though he did look a bit better in Beijing, his old nemesis of double faults and making spectacular errors and choking badly are still very much prevalent. So it makes great sense there to take Rublev at a big price down there.
Okay, so we can see the way we're going. We're going Djokovic top half, 2.35 overall. And then we've got 4 that are going to be massive prices just to really get the finalist out of that situation, which is great. But we need some individual bets, James. And you've gone for Isner Pouille, first set tie at 2.4.
Yeah, so the write-up for this bet will be on the site soon. But in summary, basically Isner is one of the most serve-orientated players on tour. He's very uniquely serve-orientated in that there's only about, I think, 3 players who are as tall as him or taller. He's 6'10". He's held, I think, 93.4% over the last year, broken about 8.7%. So it's a very, very clear bias towards holding serve. His whole game is based around basically getting a nice first shot after his serve. So on return, he's really just taking any chances he can get. And against top quality opposition, you don't get many. So Pouille is, I think, 24 in the world. He can be a bit flaky, but fundamentally he is far superior to Isner from the baseline and really should be a comfortable favorite from the baseline. But if you look at him statistically, again, he's quite serve-orientated. He's, I think it was something like 83% holds, 17% breaks over the last year. So that, again, he's a good candidate for this bet. And Isner generally, when he's playing as the slight favorite, so 1.5 to evens, he's played a first set tiebreak in 32 of his last 50 matches. And that would put this at 1.6. So obviously at 2.4, we're getting huge value if that's indicative. Shanghai, one of the quickest events on tour, has 9% more tiebreaks than the average tournament on hard courts. So again, excellent conditions for the bet. And I would fully expect it to be something like 1.8, maybe evens.
Yeah, we like that. 1.66, 66% chance. And yet you're getting 2.4. So you sniffed out the value there, James. Snize, Khachanov and Rublev on the money line at 2.22. Reasons, please.
Yes, I'm going with a bit of a Russian parlay here. Khachanov hasn't really been good for most of the season. He's been making some experiments with his equipment and really have found wins hard to come by. But he really looked great last week in Beijing, I thought. He took Team, the eventual winner, to 3 tough sets. He had ample opportunity to even close that match out and looked really impressive. Fritz, he's going to face, is a talented young American, but he hasn't really been in form for quite some time now. He's lost 4 out of his last 5 main draw matches. Khachanov is the much more talented player, and now when he's looking to find some form, I expect him to have a big run at this time of year, just like he did last year. So I'll parlay him with Andrey Rublev, who's going to face John Millman from Australia. And Millman had a great run just recently. He made a Tokyo final as a qualifier. But that means he played 7 matches in just 9 days and then had to travel here. Very, very short turnaround. And I expected him to lose to Pella in the first round. But he actually managed to prevail. So after failing to defend his quarterfinal opponent in the US Open, there was pressure on him. And I thought that he might be caught a bit short there, but he came through. But still, he's a player that bases most of his game on counterpunching, outlasting his opponents from the baseline, and with some tired legs, that will be difficult. Furthermore, this is a difficult matchup for him because Rublev is very happy to face opponents that don't generate much pace on their own and are happy to sit back. This is a similar matchup as to that one he has in Chorich, who's also happy to sit back and counterpunch and defend, which is placed perfectly to Rublev's game because he likes to step in and dictate play, and that's exactly what he'll get here again. And I just think that he'll take care of Millman in this one. Some fatigue, and he's just straight up better.
Okay, in summary, boys, I'll come to you first, James. Djokovic, how many times out of 10 does he win this tournament?
So I mean, it's kind of tricky to call again with stuff like fitness and all that. But overall, if you played this out 1,000 times, I'm certainly expecting him to win at least 50% of them.
Okay, that brings you over even money. Snize, Djokovic for you?
Yeah, I'll go right ahead with that. Say like 50, 60% of the time he should be winning this tournament.